welcome to Crime in Court. My name is Heather, and this is episode 2 of a new case that I just started to do a deep dive of. This is Wisconsin versus Zachariah Anderson, and we are going to, last time we talked about the cast of characters. We went over the three main people that we really needed to go over, which was Zachariah Anderson, who's right here. He's the defendant. He is charged with 2 counts of stalking, one for Rosalio and one for Sadie. And then he also is charged for first-degree intentional homicide and hiding a corpse, which we don't know that he did that because this is a no-body trial and no-body conviction, basically. So he was convicted without a body. This is the alleged victim whose body still has not been found. Rosalio Gutierrez Jr., he went missing May 17th, 2020. He's a 40-year-old Hispanic male with black hair and brown eyes, 6 foot tall and 270 pounds, from Kenosha, Wisconsin. His time of his death would be undetermined at this point, because time and date, and the actual way that he died too would be difficult to determine without his body. So he remained on the Missing Persons Registry of Wisconsin for 3 years leading up to the trial, until he was deemed deceased only by way of jury vote. So after the trial, when Zach was convicted by a jury, they then labeled his what's the word I'm looking for? They labeled him as deceased after that, and no longer missing, but deceased. And they changed his status. That's what I was trying to say. Okay, and so Sadie Beecham is the ex-girlfriend of Zachary Anderson. They have 3 children together, 1 daughter and 2 twin boys, and she kind of suddenly out of nowhere started, after they ended things, accusing him of stalking her, and she was keeping secrets from him, like going out of the country to Mexico without telling him. So let's get in. Before we get into it, let me first ask you for a huge favor, and please hit that like button, because it helps you, it helps me, it helps us all with algorithms. I don't know, nobody knows how they work, but they do. I do know that when you like a video, you'll get more videos of this topic or similar ones. So anyways, thank you for liking this video, and I'm going to first also let you know that if there are any of you out there that want to help or do something for Zach Anderson, who is, as we stated, his family believes he's wrongfully convicted. He's sitting in prison. The evidence, there is no evidence that shows that he did anything to Rosalio, and how he got convicted, how the jury came back with a guilty. I still am not totally 100% sure. I watched the entire trial. I thought that the prosecution's case was very flimsy, and there wasn't a whole lot to go on. But I mean, they did try to paint him as a bad guy, and this guy that committed DV all the time and was very violently angry and whatnot, explosive anger. But I really think that, tearing apart, the evidence and looking deeper into this case, I think that they were just trying to play some kind of strategic game to get their conviction, because that, I think, it helped. So anyways, if you have any desire to help Zachary Anderson, you can go to freezachariahanderson.org. And on the sidebar here, you can see you can donate. There's also, and then, you can click on there and it'll tell you how to, like, what ways to donate, to give you information about donations. And you could buy apparel that has free Zachary Anderson merch on it, or imprinted on like shirts and things like that. Here is another page you can go to, how to help. You can sign the petition or send a letter to basically to the officials in Wisconsin. There are specific letters that they have already written. They give you the draft. You just have to print it, sign it, and I think, where is it? Here. Okay, so send a letter to the Wisconsin Office of Lawyer Regulation. So they give you all the information. They tell you to also email them, because it makes a stronger case for the family who created this website. If you do send a letter to any of the officials, they would be very grateful if you could also send a copy just to them as well, because or email it, because they like to keep a record of how many people they have tallied up as their support, their backup. So when they do try to lobby for change, or to try to argue for Zach's freedom, then they have a little bit more of a leg to stand on, because they know that people support them. So that's something I just want to mention. So letters, they give you some example letters, and I think they do, or maybe they don't. You don't need to live in Wisconsin to write these people either. Yeah, so you can download the grievance letter, download a concern letter, and if you're a non-citizen, you can also download a letter there. So there are options for everybody to download. You just have to sign it, mail it in, email it, whatever, and then that would help him out tremendously in his cause to either get a new trial or have things thrown out that were previously put in. So, I just having backup and having voices really goes a long way. So plus it's very isolating as a prisoner, not knowing what's going on in the outside world and not being able to take a part of it. So even if you just want to send him a letter, there are ways to do that. You can go to the website, and you can, I think it's Write to Zach, and there's ways to write to him. He also has, by the way, there's information. You can meet Zach. You can see some of his artwork. He has some video journaling and some other like written journals that he has been writing since he's been incarcerated. So if you're interested in that, feel free to visit their free ZachariahAnderson.org website. All right, so let's get to what we're here for. In this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about the timeline. We're going to get started, but we're not going to finish. I want to split it into two parts, just so it's not me constantly just reading down a list, because I feel like that's really boring. But let's get started. So 2007, the date is unknown, but this is when Zachariah Anderson, or Zach, and Sadie Beecham first meet, and they begin dating. They have an on-again, off-again relationship, and Sadie allegedly, Sadie alleged that Zach cheated on her multiple times throughout the relationship. Don't know if that's true or not. Doesn't really matter in this situation, whether he did or didn't. All right, so 2008, the next year after meeting, they welcomed their daughter, and we're going to call her O for short, because she's a minor. In 2012, Zach and Sadie stop living together but continue their on-again, off-again relationship. So things start to kind of sour. However, they still continue to see each other. In 2015, Zach and Sadie welcomed their twin boys, N and M, also abbreviated because they are minors. The following year, in 2016, the date unknown, Zach lives outside of Wisconsin for approximately a year and a half. Sadie testified that they were in a relationship at this time and states, quote, "Well, we talked on the phone, Skyped once in a while. He wanted to see the kids, so we would have some contact, probably weekly." End quote. That was 2016. December 2019. December 24th, Christmas Eve to be exact, Zach and Sadie have a verbal altercation regarding the children at Sadie's home. So they're fighting over the kids at Sadie's house. Zach is given a municipal citation for disorderly conduct, and Sadie requested a 72-hour no contact period, which was granted. So apparently they were having a fight, argument, verbal altercation, as it says. So they were fighting, verbally having a fight, and somebody called the cops. So the cops showed up. I don't know if it was Sadie or whom called them, but somebody did. They show up, and Zach is cited for disorderly conduct, which is kind of a BS charge. And the law enforcement enforces the 72-hour no contact period that Sadie asked for. The Washington County District Attorney declined to prosecute the incident because there was no physical confrontation between the two parties. According to Sadie, after this incident, they break up for good. Hold that thought, though, because there's going to be times where it seems like they might be back together. Or at least a little more than just exes that are sharing custody. I'll say that. All right, so we are done from 2007 to 2019. And now remember, 2019, the end of December, Sadie and Zach get into a big argument about the children. And I wonder if this had something to do with the fact that maybe she's dating other people because, well, you'll see. So let's go. This was 2019, end of 2019. And then we move on to February of 2020. And we have date unknown, but sometime in February, Zach and Sadie meet up to discuss child visitation schedules. So at least a month and a half later, potentially over a month later, they decide that they're going to meet for a conversation about the kids when they just had this explosive argument on Christmas Eve. So keep that in mind. Sorry, I got a pain in my neck. All right, so February 13th, Rosalio Gutierrez Jr. and Sadie meet on Facebook dating. Rosalio meets a woman also, or meets another woman, I should say, named Kim Lavora on Facebook dating. So he's kind of playing the field, and I don't know what Sadie's doing. It seems like she is kind of, well, you'll see, back and forth maybe, or playing both sides. I don't know. So February 29th, We have 4:09 p.m. Rosalio to Sadie. So don't judge my spot. I haven't cleaned. Okay. Or LOL. And she says not at all. So I'm assuming she goes over to his place for the first time. Then she says 4:35. We're just staying at your place, right? Like I can wear comfy clothes, or are we going somewhere? Rosalio to Sadie responds, be comfortable, babe. So they're already calling each other babe. Maybe somewhere to eat, but just chill. Just a chill night. Hold on one second. My dog is being very annoying. He wants food and it's way too early for his dinner time. And he's bothering me during the stream, so I had to yell at him. I didn't think you guys wanted to hear that. All right, so so Sadie to Rosalio asks about, are they going out? Rosalio says, just be comfy. We might go out somewhere to eat. She says, okay, sweet. I'm leaving soon. He texts her his address. Says it's in Kenosha. He asks her how far of a drive that is for her. She responds with, forgot my phone, leaving again, 50 minutes. He says, LOL, okay. Then he asks her, do you like Corona refrescas? And he shared his GPS location with her and let her know that, because sometimes GPS sends, he shared his location because sometimes GPSs don't get his location right. So that is February 2020. So she is arguing with Zach. She's dating other people now. She's on this Facebook dating, talking to other people. So I almost have a feeling like she might have been dating someone back in December and he found out and they got mad and kids talk. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems like, it could be around the same time because she's dating Rosalio on the 13th for sure. So anyways, let's move on to March 20th. So March 1st, Zach gets a new smartphone, a G6, and it's activated that the last four digits are 0529. All right, so then the 3rd, 2 days later, Sadie leaves for a trip to Mexico, leaving her friend Rebecca Jackal in charge of the 3 children. She does not notify Zach that she will be out of the country or that the kids are under someone else's care. She doesn't even tell him that. I think that is so irresponsible and hypocritical of her to be like trying to say that Zach's not a good parent when she's doing crap like this. But whatever. Okay, so at this time, the children live full-time with Sadie, but she and Zach share custody without any official court-ordered agreements in place. So they've been sharing custody peacefully, but now things aren't so peaceful because she's dating people, I think, is part of the problem there. So later that day on March 3rd, Rosalio says, or texts Sadie, says, I love the sun at 8:29 p.m. On March 5th at 3:56 a.m., so 3:56 a.m., Rebecca calls Sadie. And hold on one second. I have to give my dog a nasty look because he's not listening to me. All right, so let's try to get through this fast because my dog's being really super annoying. Sorry, guys. All right, so police. Okay, so 3:56 a.m. Rebecca calls Sadie. 4:04 a.m. Both Sadie and Rebecca are making calls to Germantown Police Department to report the fact that Zach came over unannounced and was attempting to take the children and did not have permission to do so. but they didn't have they don't have a set schedule. So why can't he take the kids if he wants to? I mean, I get that it's a weird time in the morning, but I believe he was trying to get a hold of Sadie, and Sadie was not responding. So he was worried potentially about the kids, but I don't know. I can't speak for him. Anyways, so he was trying to take the kids, and he did not have permission to do so, even though there is no set schedule. So why can't he take the kids if he wanted to? Especially when they're staying with someone else that he didn't even know they were staying with someone else. All right, so police found Zach cooking breakfast in Sadie's house. Zach stated that he normally has permission to go to her residence as long as he alerts Sadie, which he tried to do via phone call, but she didn't answer. Zach said on his arrival, the residence front door was unlocked, so he was concerned that the children were home alone. Sadie requested that Zach be asked to leave at this time. So, I guess the police made sure that Zach left. He had laundry in the washing machine, so he was allowed to retrieve his laundry and say goodbye to the kids. Zach was then escorted out of the residence per Sadie's request. No citations, arrests, or orders were placed. So that's an important thing to know. Like, he wasn't breaking the law. He didn't do anything wrong. It was maybe a miscommunication, misunderstanding, because he was trying to get a hold of Sadie and Sadie wasn't answering. But anyway, so that happens at an odd hour in the morning, I will say. I don't know why he was going over there at an odd hour, but I do think that if he was, maybe laying in bed and couldn't sleep or something, worrying about his kids, he might have been like, I'm just going to drive over there and check. And that's what happened. So, I don't know. Or maybe the kids do get up that early. I have no idea. Perhaps that's a possibility too. Anyway, so 7:18 a.m., we see that Rosalio sends a text to Sadie. Full custody might be hard unless you have a paper trail of situations where it shows that he is unfit. So you can see that they're talking about Zach and trying to get custody of the kids. Sadie, trying to get custody of the kids and trying to pull off like Zach is some kind of unfit parent or something, when Sadie's the one that just left the country without telling Zach that she was leaving. I think that's suspicious, or I think that's wrong. Anyways, so you can get primary. He says that you can get primary placement. They will grant him visitation rights every other weekend, but from what it sounds like, he won't follow through with. Well, how do you know, Rosalio? You don't know him. Keep a paper trail of it. Then down the road, you can go for full custody. It will also get the ball rolling for child support. So Rosalio is trying to give Sadie advice on how to take care of herself and her kid when he's also on the hook for two other kids at least two kids from two other women. I don't know Rosalio's backstory all that well, but I do know he's got kids and from different women, at least two different women. All right, so 7:22 a.m. Sadie to Rosalio, I will, she says, and yes, it might be hard, but I'm gonna try to get full custody. 10 minutes later, Rosalio says, you need to get a calendar and start tracking every time he calls and attempts to spend time with kids. Why is it wrong for him to want to spend time with his kids? Anyways, any time he might buy something, etc., it will become very helpful. Maybe even try to backtrack as much as you can and track it. Sadie says, I have some things already documented, especially from the last incident. Sadie says, anyway, Rosalio, already calling her babe, says, babe, I can stake out by your house tonight like a detective, LOL. She says, oh my God, you are so sweet, LOL. I roll, sorry. But seriously, I don't have the kids tonight. no, he can't come back to my place or he'll get arrested. The kids told my friend to call back. The cops told my friends to call back if he comes back to the house. So he's not able to go back there. So he doesn't need to go stake out Sadie's house like this spy or whatever, like a detective. All right, so Rosalio says, or option B is ... Well, I do know people. And then Sadie to Rosalio says, oh, I've definitely thought about plan B, LOL. So what, are they going to have him whacked? Are they going to have his legs broken? Like, what do they want to do to him? Have his face pounded a little? He knows people. Well, are those the people that took you? Are those the people that assaulted you, Rosalio, and took you? Because apparently you know people that could be dangerous. So I don't know. Shouldn't be this hard. And Sadie says to Rosalio, shouldn't be this hard. And I'm so mad he doesn't care what it does to the kids. I don't know. Doesn't she see that it hurts the kids when she's denying time with her children's father? All right. So Rosalio to Sadie, that's why plan B might work. Just needs a little reminder. Sadie replies, he. And then that's end of that text thread. A little later at 10:43 a.m., Rebecca calls Sadie. So they're probably talking about the incident again. When Zach came over in the morning. All right, so maybe he has an early morning. I don't know. March 6th, 5:36 p.m. So this is the next day, I believe. Yeah, March 5th was the last day we were just talking about. So March 6th, the next day of 2020, 5:36 p.m., Zach to Sadie, go do your vacation proper. It's Friday. Probably going to be almost as memorable as Saturday. Travel safe. No coronavirus or herpes if you can help it. Never know what kind of bug you might catch on vacation. Sometimes what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. I don't want the kids to get pink eye, or is the coronavirus deadly? And this was just before coronavirus was really affecting us and the whole lockdown and everything. So, but who was she? My question is, who was she in Mexico with? We don't know. She probably didn't go by herself. I'm wondering if she went with Rosalio, and I'll show you why I think that later. But I am kind of thinking that she went with Rosalio. I also think that she's playing Zach too, because at one point she's trying to have him kicked out of her house because he's not supposed to be there, even though she's on a secret vacation. And the next minute she's calling him babe. Because this is the next day, calling him honestly babe. So I think she's giving him mixed signals or something. I don't know. I'm not blaming Sadie for anything. I just think that she might be confused about who she wants or what she wants, or she likes to play multiple men at once. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But anyways, so Zach to Sadie. Since your new somebody is looking to see you as soon as possible, what if I keep the kids Tuesday night as well? Don't want you to have to sneak anyone into the house after sending the kids to bed. Don't want the kids coming downstairs to pee and overhearing any sweet talking. Might mess with them hearing you and the new boo calling each other babe and whatever. So this could kind of be taken like, she could kind of take it like, not a threat, but kind of like almost aggressive, like passive aggressive, like he's coming off passive aggressive to kind of hurt her. But I don't think so. I think he's like, hey, I can take the kids. You don't have to be sneaking around. Like, just, I want to protect my kids and make sure that they're not seeing this guy. Like, he wants to know who his kids are around, too. He might have had some suspicions about this Rosalio, because it does appear that he had some connections to people that weren't the greatest of people. And he also, maybe not the greatest of crowds, let's say, that he hung out in. And he also owed a lot of people money. And when that happens, there's definitely a motive. But Zach wasn't one of those people that he owed money to. So I don't know. Zach didn't have that motive, unless you can just say, his only motive was because Sadie was into some other dude, but I don't think that that's the case. So anyways, yeah, so he said that, but I honestly think he was just trying to be like protecting his kids and saying, hey, here's an out. I can always take the kids whenever you need a night. Like, meaning, he misses his kids and he wants to see them more. So Sadie to Zach, her response is kind of rude. She says, honestly, babe, at first I think it's effed up that someone is keeping you updated, as I somehow think if I were to start dating again, then it's a bad thing. So she is dating again. And, well, we know that. She's dating Rosalio, and I honestly think she's in Mexico with him at this time. And so about what you just said there, someone having to update Zach about her. Well, maybe it's because you go on secret rendezvous vacations with your new beau, and you don't tell the father of your children that you've left the country. I don't know. Just a thought there. So second, why do you care to continue getting updates from said informants? LOL. And third, I don't need your help to find happiness. You had your chance. Many, many, many. So it's almost like a slap in the face. Like you didn't make me happy, so I'm going to go off and do my own thing, and you have no right to know what I'm doing. And that's fair. That's totally fair on her end. But he is the father of her children, and he deserves to know who his kids are around and how it's affecting his kids, that he's not there as much anymore and that they're not living together and all that. So he has a right to know some things that she's not telling him. So just saying. All right, so Zach to Sadie, I just offered to watch the kids. Don't get mad because people want to give me reliable information when you don't. It happens to be about the guy you dumped me for, I suppose. There is some curiosity for sure. Still Zach, my last 3 years at AT&T was a downhill slide. I wish I would have made you and the kids come with. 2.5 years after that has been mostly sleep-deprived physical anguish and crying all alone, dreaming of self-unaliving. Not sure what popped in my back, but every day I can breathe again and want the rest of my days to have love and happiness. Okay. 2:01 p.m. Zach to Sadie. The boys said some guy came over to hang the TV. I asked our daughter if it was Leo. She said she asked Becky, and Becky couldn't help smiling. I wish she had paid close attention. Sadie says the boys were all over Tony when he was hanging the TV, and you should probably stop probing our 11-year-old for information. Geez, cut it out. I'll effing tell you if I'm into someone. Good God. But she was dating someone and she didn't tell him. Apparently. All right, so Zach to Sadie. Oh, you were expecting indiscretion around my babies. So basically saying, yeah, you've got my kids and I need to know what you're up to. Which could be threatening in a way, but it could also just be him protecting his young, All right, so our more than impressionable daughter, F no. I want her to know what a man is supposed to treat her, not control her, and make her fear him. I don't know what that's in reference to something. At 10:25 p.m., Zach says to Sadie, I won't stalk you. You have told me more than you needed. Just putting some thoughts and feelings down. your goodbye was very abrupt. Still sorting myself out. Figured you could just ignore it or laugh at me. March 10th, Sadie returns from Mexico. So she was gone for a week. She left on the 3rd. She's back on the 10th. Again, I don't know who she was with, but as you can see, she gets back from Mexico, and then at 8:32 p.m., Rosalio says to Sadie, "Have I told you that when I kissed you that I knew you were the one for me?" A minute later, "And have I told you that I prayed for someone like you to come into my life? I feel like he answered my prayers. Babe, I honestly feel like we have the happily ever after potential." He's saying to Sadie. Mind you, he's dating other women and dating on Facebook dating. But I feel like he's on this like love high because he just was in Mexico with her. Like, that's my impression from these texts, because it almost seems like he was just with her and they had a great romantic little vacation, and, you know, they're happily ever after now, whatever. And then Sadie doesn't respond the same way. She just says, "You did tell me, and I like that." And then he says, "Love, confession time. I'm head over heels for you. Like, I totally know you are for me. Like, no questions asked. You are for me," he says. And then her response, which is kind of telling, she says, "I feel some fantastic things are going to happen with us." And then she sends him a heart. So, I mean, I could see maybe she's just trying to be cautious, maybe cautious to herself, to not get too crazy over some guy. But it does kind of seem like he's putting himself out there saying, you know, "I'm really all about you. I'm head over heels. You're the one for me." And then she's like, "Yeah, okay, things are good." It's kind of like the "I love you," and then you respond, "Thank you," response to me. That's what that's like. All right. Hold on one second. Okay. I have to yell at my dog still because they're all in my face now. Okay. I'm just going to ignore them. They're so irritating. All right. So after Sadie returns from vacation, Zach and Sadie meet up at the chocolate shop to discuss the custody schedule. So this is a date unknown, but we know it's sometime in March after she returns from Mexico. March 16th at 4:27 p.m., Sadie to Rosalio says, "My daughter got a new phone, LOL." And then he says, "Just saw this text. What did she say?" The next, a couple days later, so they don't talk every day as it appears, but Zach and Sadie do talk frequently too, so, but not every day either. All right, so March 19th, 11:32, Zach to Sadie says, "Well, you getting your hair pulled by your new boo tonight and tomorrow? I am not sure what time I will be home later, if I have the kids tomorrow." So it almost seems like she was wanting to know if he could take the kids or something, because it sounds like he's responding to something, but there's no no text before that, so I'm not sure. But she responds, "WTF, either help or don't." He says, "Damn, put the gun down. I got the kids tomorrow and next week." So he's saying, you know, relax. I have the kids already, you know. And then he says, "I'm saying maybe I get them in the morning. You got someone. We can be pals all you want, but I'm dying inside and don't want to be left out in the cold." And then that was at 11:44 a.m. And then at 12:19 p.m. he says, "I love you," to Sadie. The next day, March 20th at 7:45 p.m., Zach to Sadie, "Since you're going to be checking your messages later, and I don't want you to have messages from all your new dudes and not me." he writes, and then she writes hello in the in response a little while later, and then it almost seems like he spent the night there, or he went there that night, because March 21st, the next text is Sadie to Zach at 7:56 in the morning. Morning, when did you leave? I thought you were going to stay. So he was obviously there, and I almost feel like they were hooking up. Because then Zach says, good morning, pretty lady. I left when everyone fell asleep. She says, okay, but you fell asleep first. He says, you and Leo got a date night tonight. What's the plan? She says, ha, good night. I don't know who Leo is. And then she says, oh, he said, ha, good night. And then she says, good night, Z-Bear. So again, she's calling him by like these pet names and babe and all this. They're talking sweet to one another. So it's interesting to me. March 22nd at 7:11 a.m. He says, good morning, Sadie Bear. She says, good morning. And then she asks him, what time are you thinking of heading this way? So again, he's coming over March 22nd. So what, the next 2 days later, after she saw him on the 20th, he's coming over on the 22nd again. It's just odd that she's, saying that he's stalking her and all this stuff when she's having these conversations with him like nothing's. She's not scared of him. She's not afraid of him. She's asking him to come over. When are you heading this way? So I don't know. March 27th, Zach to Sadie says, good night, S. Sadie says, good night, A Bear, and then she corrects it, Z. That was the 27th. The 29th of March, 9:01 p.m., Sadie to Zach, I want to give us a chance, but I feel like I'm going to lose the fight. Good night, Z-Bear, she says. So she still has feelings for him. She still cares for him. She still does love him, I think, in the way that she is with him. And then at 10:07, or she's just stringing him along until something better comes. I don't know. 10:07 p.m., Zach to Sadie says, I don't have any fight for you. I don't have any arguments. I have some questions, some feelings. Good night, Sadie Bear. I love you, he says. Notice she never says I love you back. So again, it's like these men are like trying to woo her or trying to get her, and then she's got less warm feelings than her suitors do for her. She's a little colder to them, I guess. So March 30th now. This is the very end of where I think this is where we're going to leave off. So, all right, March 30th, 8:02 a.m. Zach to Sadie, good morning. Have whatever kind of day you want. I love you. And that's at 8:02 a.m. So probably first thing in the morning. 12:05 p.m. Zach calls Sadie, so probably like on his lunch break. They talk for 11 minutes. 4:12, Zach calls Sadie again. They talk for 3.5 minutes. And then at 4:31, they talk for 44 seconds. And then on the 31st, Zach says to Sadie, and I love you. Time unknown. So we see Zach clearly loves Sadie. Sadie might be possibly stringing him along. I'm not even sure. But it does kind of seem that way. And she's also potentially dating someone else. So, well, she is dating someone else. She's dating Rosalio. She admits to it. So, I mean, she is dating someone else and possibly stringing Zach along with this babe. And, I want to give us a chance, but I feel like I'm going to lose the fight and all that. So it's just interesting to me. I feel, I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she's just confused about her feelings. It's possible they have a up and down relationship and maybe she's just tired of fighting. I don't know. So regardless of any of that, it still doesn't prove anything about Zach's alleged involvement in Rosalio's disappearance. We will get into that we're going to get more into that timeline. So we'll finish off the timeline in part 2 with April and May. And as we know, May 17th is the last time that Rosalio is heard from or seen. And the 19th is when he is reported missing of May. So we're getting to that. We're building up to that part in the timeline. So we'll get to that at the end, or in the next episode, part 2. So thank you so much for joining me, for liking the video, commenting, subscribing. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you next time. Take care. Bye.